Okay. In this activity, we're going to attach a screen to our microbit. Every microbit that you're going to have on a greenhouse will require a screen, primarily because the microbit web-based version doesn't include a console to easily see the data. And so we're going to be able to read our data right off of our screen. So what we're going to need for this is a little screen. We're going to need our microbit. We're going to need a Grove shield, one 4-pin cable, and of course our micro USB so we can attach our microbit to our computer. Our first step is to go to makecode.microbit.org. We are going to click on New Project, and we're going to get our regular blocks of OnStart and Forever. And one of the things that you'll see that is missing when we look over here at our blocks of code isn't something that says OLED on it. So we're going to need to add an extension. So under the Advanced menu, we're going to click down to Extensions. The extension we're going to need is something from Tinker Academy Tinkerkit. And if you don't see it in that initial list, you can type the word Tinker in the search box, and it should be one of the two extensions that is found. So we're going to click on that. And we now have an OLED block. So first thing we have to do is we have to tell the microbit that we are going to have a screen attached to it. So we have to drag this initialize OLED block over into the OnStart block. This means that when the program starts, it's going to make sure that all the code is loaded that microbit needs to be able to write data and text to the screen. Notice it gives us this default size of 128 by 64. It's exactly the right size for our little screen. Now, what we're going to want is data and text to appear on the screen, so we kind of know what is coming in from our sensors. So what I'm going to do initially is let's hook up our screen. So we're going to plug in our microbit into our Grove shield. We're going to connect our screen to the 4-pin cable, and the 4-pin cable then gets connected to the Grove shield. The screen can only go into port I2C, okay, which is right to the left of port 0. So it gets plugged into I2C, and now I'm just going to go ahead and plug in my microbit to my computer. Okay. And it'll go off and find it. And while we're waiting for that, let's keep working on creating some code. Okay. So in my forever loop, I'm going to want text to appear on my screen. So let's say I want to have a series of words appear, or show string. Now my computer just found the microbit, so we'll come back to that in a second. So let's say I want to show string. That's showing text. And so let's say I want to say Avengers are great. Okay. Then let's say I want to have another word on here. Let's say, but not as good as Star Wars. Okay. This is in my forever loop, which means it's going to run forever. Now, one thing with the text is the microbit may be small, but it will run this very fast. So this text is going to blink on and off really fast on the screen, and you might not be able to read it. So what we'll want to do is we'll want to put in a pause. And this is pretty common when you want text to stay on the screen for a little while before it clears it and you get another set of data. So let's put in a pause. And let's say it's going to be a pause of 2 seconds, which means that everything above this pause statement is going to stay on the screen for 2 seconds. Okay. Let's give this a name so we can save it. I'm just going to call it practice screen. And I'm going to save. And it's going to save it to the downloads folder. So once it's finished saving, go open up your downloads folder. And there's my file, practice screen, and I've already done it once, so that's why the 1 is there. If I saved it again, it would go to 2. Again, the number represents the version of the code. The bigger the number, the more recent or newer the code is. Once you found it, you're going to drag it over to your microbit. Okay, so let's drag it right on down. It's going to transfer. Alright, so now that it's transferred, my screen is going to keep saying Avengers is great, Avengers is great, but not as good as Star Wars, and it's going to keep saying that over and over and over again, and you're going to see it reprint that every 2 seconds. Okay, so now we've got lots of words on our screen. But it's going to start getting really difficult to read it, and this is going to be particularly important when we start seeing lots of data, because it's going to overwrite the data as it writes, so it's going to be very hard to keep track of it. So what we're going to want to do is let the data stay on there for a little while, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4 seconds, and then we're going to want to clear it so new data can be shown. So again, we go back to our OLED block, and notice in here where it says clear OLED display. So if I put that right at the end of my pause and I save my file, it's going to again save it into my downloads folder. There it is. Now I'm up to file number 3. I'm going to drag it over to my microbit. And we wait for it to transfer. Okay. Now as it runs now, it's going to show me the words on the screen, and it will clear them, which means my screen doesn't get so messy.